Hello, this is Carrie again, and I have another video for you today. Today I will be reviewing the Blick Studio Artists colored pencils that are described as highly pigmented, blendable, and fade resistant, and we will be putting all of these claims to the test. And so I got a set of 36, which is unusual for me when I'm testing out new pencils I haven't tried before. I usually get a set of 12, and you're like, why do I have the Polycolor set with me? That is because rumor had it that these and these were the same pencils. So that's part of what I will be looking at today in this review. So let's get started. Well, first thing that will tell you whether or not that claim is correct is that I did not take new notes. I just have my old Koh-I-Noor notes. So like the Koh-I-Noors, these are made in the Czech Republic. They are also supposed to be light fast. They come in all the same sets of colors. They come in a set of 12, an assorted set of 12, which has these same colors in them. Literally the same colors. I think one or two of the names might be a little different, but the colors are exactly the same as what's in here. This is what comes in assorted set of 12. There's a gray set of 12, a set of browns, an assorted set of 24, a landscape set of 24, a portrait set of 24, and then there's a set of 36, 48, 72, and again a set of 36 in the wood case. And then the prices are a little bit different, and the prices will all be down in the description below, as well as links to purchase this, and also the links, you'll notice tiny URL links, because, and this is true, if I link to Dick Blick, then YouTube will turn off the adverts because of the name Dick. The guy who founded the store was literally named Dick Blick, and so it's called Dick Blick Art Materials. Anyway, I'm totally not bitter about that. As you can see, I've completely let that go. So so there'll be links to purchase this that will be tiny URL links, but there are links that will redirect you to the Dick Blick store. So as always, I have a completed page for you. And these were really fun, and they literally worked up exactly the same way as the Koh-I-Noors. And as I told you in the Koh-I-Noor video, when you lay down the color underneath, when you put in a new color on top, you can still very much see the color underneath. So what I did with these is red. People will put a green underneath, and then we'll put red on top to give it the to show the dark values a little bit better. In this case, with this pencil, I would not advise doing that. Instead, I would advise putting down what is going to be your ultimate color down below, so you can see, unlike when I did the Koh-I-Noor video where I had blue, because I put down blue before I put down the black. In this case, I did put down a light layer of what's going to be the ultimate color, and then I went back in with a little bit of the blue, and then I went back in again with the black. And I pretty much did that for everything that I wanted to show, that I wanted to show the darker values. So that's basically the same thing that you have to keep in mind for these pencils, is that it will show whatever the color is underneath. You just have to get a little bit used to that. But otherwise, as you can see, you can make great art with these. This was a lot of fun. If you like to burnish, which I usually don't like to burnish, but in the case of the sun, I really wanted to get it in there. So I did do a little bit of burnishing on the sun. It does take a lot of layers, but it doesn't, you do come to a point where it won't take any more layers. But it does a really good job. The other thing that I also noticed in the Koh-I-Noor video, and I'm going to show it to you here with this, is that the black is not really super black. It's more of a dark gray. So that's slightly unfortunate. By the way, there is a color called Indian Red in this set, and I've talked about this in the past. I try to talk about it every time I come across, Indian Red or similar color. Like here, the color is called beige. I don't know if it would be called that in the Koh-I-Noor, but here they call it beige because, like I said, in the previous video where I talked about these things, you know, in the US, they really wouldn't call this skin tone. They would call it beige. An American company would. In the case of Indian red, if you're an American, that's going to sound really weird, but it is a red from India, as opposed to, you know, a mention of the derogatory term for Native Americans. So that's what the Indian red is. That's a side note, but I did want to get that out there, just in case people had comments about that. So there's that. So that's it. I mean, these really work up really nicely. I had a really good time with this. This was a lot of fun to do. I did have a little bit of breakage in this color. You can see right here, I had a little bit of breakage on the tip here. But then I changed the sharpener and I haven't had any, I changed the blade on the sharpener and I haven't had any breakages since then. So I won't say that that's necessarily relating to the pencil, although I think there was a color here that felt like it was a little bit broken on the inside, like as I was working with it, but then it didn't break when I used it or when I sharpened it. So so that's something to keep in mind. And I actually went to the physical store and I picked my set up. If I wanted to, I could literally take this in the store and they would probably give me a replacement pencil for the one that's broken. I just haven't felt like doing it. So and it's not a big deal, and it hasn't happened since I switched the blade, so I'm not going to necessarily say that it's the fault of the pencil, if that makes any sense. But I did want to let you guys know that. So there is that. All right, so I'm going to take a break and I'm going to do the live swatching, and then after the live swatching, I'm going to come back with some comparison charts, as well as I'm going to come back after the live swatching to talk more about the similarities between the Dick Blick and the Koh-I-Noor pencils. All right, so I will be right back. This is the part of the review where I will do the swatching. All right, so I basically, what I did for this part is I just took out the pencils, the 12 main colors, and I just put them in this container because they fit perfectly, and also because it's easier to just do the 12 swatching, because I don't think you guys want to watch me do 36 swatches. So there is that. I have the Koh-I-Noor swatches here, and I'm gonna do it, you know what, I'm gonna do it in this page here. Hopefully you guys will not be bothered by the fact that it's 24 up there. All right, so let's get started with the swatching. All right, so this is the yellow color, and like I said, I'm gonna be swatching out the original 12 colors that come in the 12 color set, just because it's easier that way. And when I did the Koh-I-Noor review, I talked about how the barrel shape, I like the pencils, but the barrel shape really bothered me, because I tend to prefer a round barrel shape. So since I do prefer the round barrel shape, this is actually perfect for me. So I ended up getting a set, so that's why I ended up getting the set of 36, because I was fairly certain I was going to love these pencils, and I did. So so I ended up doing it this way. But you can see the vibrancy of the color. You can also see that you can get a nice sharp point on these, and you can also see as I swatched them, hold on, let me show you this on this one, that you can go from fairly light to fairly dark pressure with relative ease, and you can see that I'm putting a lot of pressure on this super sharp point and it's not breaking. So these do have a fair amount of break resistance, you can see on this. So so there's a lot to like here. And as I said in my original Koh-I-Noor review, I think these would be a great replacement in other regions if you don't want to get the Prismacolor, but you still want a strong color lay down. In the US with the Dick Blick brand, I think these are just a great all-around pencil. They are more expensive here than the Prismacolors, but I still like these regardless of that, because of the price, and also because I'm not dealing with the level of breakages that I was. And I know some people don't, you know, some people have not had breakage issues with the Prismacolors. So if you have had breakage issues with the Prismacolors and you are looking for an alternative, this might just be the one for you, even though these are oil-based and the Prismacolors are wax-based. So, I mean, one of the main differences in that is that these are going to be one of the main reasons in that is that these are going to be less opaque. So if you use colored papers, or if you do techniques that that work better with wax-based pencils, then these will not be as easy to use as the Prismacolors. All right, so that is the live swatching portion of the debate. And then we'll see even more how they're basically, the colors are, at least for these 12, exactly the same when I do the color comparison section. So that's this section of the review. So I got a couple of colors, just, you know, 2 colors that I have the same ones of. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why people say they are the same pencils. I believe that if they are not the same pencils, they're damn near identical. And let me show you why. First of all, if you look at the colors, they look exactly the same. They feel about the same when you lay them down. They also have basically the same names. And you can see not only how they feel as the individual colors, which doesn't necessarily tell us anything, but how they look when they're blended. They look really, really similar as you blend them. So that's another thing. You know, you can see a lot of the same features in the blended colors, and that's a huge giveaway that they might actually be the same. This is the Dick Blick on top that I did not label, and I realized that I should label it, and I will label it. So the next time that I do a review, a comparison, it will be labeled. But for this, in this case, it's not labeled. This is the Koh-I-Noor, the official Koh-I-Noor, and this is the official Dick Blick. So there's that. That's one way that's one reason why a lot of people say they are the same pencil. Another reason is that the colors are pretty much exactly the same. And I have a friend on Instagram who's a friend of mine from college, and she has, I think she has the whole set of both of them. And if I did it like this, it literally, you literally, if I turned it around, you could not tell which was which. And I have reviewed a lot of colored pencil brands, but I've never seen 2 that are this close together. I've never seen any come close. Like, you literally, it looks like 4 of the same swatches. So anyway, so my friend from college has, I think she has a full set of both of them. And she showed me on Instagram, and they literally look, the full set looks exactly the same. So, so there's that. But the thing that makes me feel like they really are the exact same pencils is something that I don't think anybody has mentioned in a previous video, but that I think is really telling. And it's this. It's the font. It's a very, I've seen a lot of colored pencils. Like I said, I've reviewed a lot of brands. This is a font I've never seen any brand use. I've never seen any brand use anything near this font. And the fact that they both use the exact same font, it tells me that it's probably, if they're not the exact same pencils, then they're made in the same factory. So, you know, so pretty much everything I said about the Koh-I-Noor colored pencils, you can translate that to the Dick Blick colored pencils. I'm fairly certain that you can certainly use these interchangeably. I haven't done that yet, but you could totally use these interchangeably. So if you saw my review on the Koh-I-Noor colored pencils and you said to yourself, oh, I want those, but I'm in America and they cost a lot, you can go to dickblick.com and you can pick up a set of the Dick Blick pencils, and they will work pretty much exactly the same, and you will not have any trouble blending them. You can see me here, I'm blending the 2 different brands. I'm using 2 different colors for the 2 different brands. By the way, you can see the thing that I talked about. Hold on, let me see if I can get it a little closer. Oh, you don't want to see my messy floor. You can see the thing that I talked about, where the color that you lay down first, it pretty much stays there. You can still layer on top of it, but you have to be mindful of the first color that's ultimately going to be your main color. If I try it again, putting down the brown first, it's gonna look different. And that's probably true for all brands, but I feel like with the Koh-I-Noor / Dick Blick, it's definitely more so the case, if that makes any sense. So you can see that even though I'm doing the layers the same way, that first color, it pretty much stays there. So that's something to keep in mind when you do your layering, that the first color is going to have a greater effect than just about any other brand that I've seen. It doesn't mean that you can't layer and you can't use the effects of layering to make a difference, but it does mean that you have to be, you have to kind of plan your shot. You have to plan what you're going to ultimately end up doing. And so after a while, they look similar, but you can totally tell which one started off with the brown underneath and which one started off with the orange underneath. So that's something to keep in mind as you do your layering and as you do your planning for your images. So I think that's it. The next step is to show the comparison chart. So I will be back with the comparison chart. So before I start the comparison, I think I want to devote a little bit more time to the issue of pencil shape. For me, at least, I know that if you use a slanted work surface, a shape like this, a hexagonal shape, is better because then it won't roll across as easily. You see that, whereas with a round pencil, it will roll across. However, I find the round pencils to be considerably more comfortable for me to hold. Even these two, which are essentially the same size, except for the fact that the hexagonal pencil has had the corner shaved off, so there is that. So for me, that's one of the big things that would tell me to go with the Dick Blick instead of the Koh-I-Noor Polycolor. It's just a round shape is easier for me to hold and it's more comfortable. Some people have an easier time with the hexagonal shape. So this is when it kind of counts to know who you are and what your style of coloring is. All right, so with that out of the way, let me put these two pencils back and get started on the comparison chart. And hold on. All right, so this is the Koh-I-Noor. Look at that, I called it the Koh-I-Noor. The Dick Blick is at the bottom and it's unlabeled because I did not label it just yet. This is the Crayola on top. Obviously you can see both the color intensity and you can see the really bad fading on this bottom layer. Even though when I store it, all of these are covered, you can see that there's definitely been a fair amount of fading on this. It was a little bit brighter when I first did it, but you can still see the color intensity difference. With the Crayola, the Staedtler Ergo Soft. These I just got. I have not done a full review of these, and I'm not sure that I will. I wasn't really that impressed with them, to tell you the truth. I did like the Crayolas better. Sorry. So there's that. But you can see that the Staedtler Ergo Soft on top is definitely not as intense as the Koh-I-Noor. As the Dick Blick artist pencils. These are the Lyra Polycolor. There's a fair amount of brands of Polycolor, and I think Polycolor means that they're oil-based. That's the other thing. I think I mentioned that these are oil-based, but I think that that's what Polycolor means. I'm not 100% certain, so don't quote me on that, but that's my guess. So anyway, you can see that these are definitely more intense than the Lyra Polycolor. So there is that. The Tombow Erogetin with their really funny color sets. So there is that. That's the Tombow Erogetin. These are the Koh-I-Noor Polycolor, and you can tell that these are the Koh-I-Noor Polycolors because they look exactly the same. That's how you can tell it's the Koh-I-Noor Polycolor. They look exactly the same. So there is that. Or to the Blackwing Colors, which was surprisingly good. I did not label it on the side, and I will. I think I'm going to go through these. It looks like a number of these that I did since I did the original charts have not been labeled right here, so you guys can see the which brand is which. Anyway. You can see that they have a similar, a similar brightness level, but the Dick Blicks were a little bit harder than the black wing colors on top, and also the black wing colors on top do not come in open stock. They only come in this set of 12 for the time being, as well as the black wing polycolors were probably the softest pencils I've ever tried. I think that's fair to say. These are the Prismacolor Soft Core. You can see the nooks and crannies. This is the Polychromos, and this is when you can start to see the difference, the real difference in the brightness and the intensity of the Polychromos. And this is a fairly old swatch. I think this is actually the first swatch I made, and I'm going to remake this swatch because I don't like the colors that I chose for the blending. So I'm going to remake this swatch at some point. I think I've been saying that for a number of reviews. The indigo does not come in this set of 12. I think it comes with a white in the set of 12. But you can see that once you get to the polycolors, then you start to really get a higher level of color intensity. So that's kind of telling you a lot in terms of the quality of these pencils. The same with the Pablos. The Pablos are definitely more intense, and definitely have a little bit more color vibrancy in person. I'm not sure if that shows in video. And then these are the Luminance, which I think really I'm gonna get some Gamsel and just try and because I think that's where you're gonna see the big difference with the Luminance, the Caran d'Ache Luminance. So this is once again finally the Dick Blick. And then I will take a break, come back with the final thoughts, and then I will have my little PSA/rant. All right, so my final thoughts, as well as the final comparison chart one last time. I think that it is possible that the formulation is different, and it is possible that the company Koh-I-Noor has nothing to do with these pencils. That is entirely possible. However, based on the evidence that I have provided to you throughout this video, I think that if they are not the same pencils made in the same factory, they feel like they are, if that makes any sense. So for all intensive purposes, everything that I said about the Koh-I-Noor can be applied to the Dick Blick, and vice versa, with the exception of the barrel shape. And I think that for me, the round barrel shape definitely makes a difference and definitely makes these much more comfortable to hold and much more comfortable to work with. But that's for me. If you prefer a hexagonal barrel shape, then go with the Koh-I-Noor. As I said about the Koh-I-Noors, I really enjoy these pencils. I think that they are surprisingly very good quality. I was impressed enough that when I went to do the review for these, which I was told was the same pencils, I decided to go for a set of 36, and I'm very happy that I went with the set of 36. The mixture of colors in the set is a very good mixture. You get your yellows, your reds, you get a nice selection of blues and greens as well as browns, which makes this a perfect set for doing landscapey type things, which is what, in adult coloring books, there's definitely a lot of landscapey type things. You also get a variety of grays, including what I'm going to call a dark gray, which I know some people won't be happy with that, but I'm just not going to call this a black. I'm going to call this a charcoal gray, and that will make me feel a lot better about the fact that it is not a very dark black. And I think that's it. I did not talk about the what's actually on the writing test. Oh, that's another difference. That is another difference that I forgot to mention that I think is actually a very important difference if you have vision problems like I do. For the Koh-I-Noor pencils, they have this part has the shiny the end, but the actual color name is a little bit difficult to read. For the Dick Blick pencils, they really resolve that problem quite well by just printing the Blick Studio name in the shiny foil and then printing the color name not once but twice on each pencil. so that it is extremely easy to read. So in terms of usability, it would be better because it's a lot easier to read and it's there twice. So there's that. So overall, I still, I still hold that these are great pencils, and I definitely recommend these if you are looking, if you like the color sets or if the price is good for you. I definitely recommend these, especially since you can get these in store and go to the store and you can try them in store. All of these pencils will be, they have all 72 colors open stock. That's the other thing. There's only 72 colors. So, so that's something that you're going to have to work with. And so there's those kinds of limitations. But, you can get the full set of 72, I think, in a wood case for $100 in the US. So if that's something that you want to do, then these pencils are definitely recommended. Just be mindful that your sharpener is sharp. So there's that. So I think that's it. The review is over. And now I'm going to take a break and do the rant portion of the video, which is not a typical portion of the video, but it's going to be in this video. And then after that, there will be the clip of Stewie at the very end, being Stewie, because he likes to come over when I am filming videos. So I have the Patreon and I have the Amazon wish list, and I really appreciate all the support that I get from there, and it makes a huge difference. So for me, that's an amazing thing that that you guys do. Sometimes people ask me why I have that, and it's this, this set of pencils didn't buy itself. So they did not send me these pencils. I went to the store in person. I went to the actual physical store and I bought these pencils. And I used them up and I sharpened them, and I can tell you how well they sharpen. One thing I don't do, I try very hard not to talk about other YouTubers and, not to, call out people by name. And I certainly won't mention people by name. But one thing I don't do is I don't take a set of pencils, use them all up down to the wood, buy a complete set of let's say, for the sake of argument, Caran d'Ache Pablos, and use them all down to the wood, and then send them back and expect a full refund. I don't do that because that would be tacky and wrong. So people ask me what I do with these pencils when they're done. What I do with these pencils when they're done is I generally keep them. And part of the reason why I keep them is I got a question a few days ago, how do these pencils work in this book? And then I can go and I can test them. And that's also why I appreciate all the support that I get on Patreon. And you've been thinking about it, there is a link down below. There's also the Amazon wish list. And that sort of support helps me to make sure that I can support this channel and do this channel without resorting to crazy things like using up pencils and then returning them. So anyway, so this is it's basically just a thank you to the fans who've been supporting me, and especially since I sent out the notice for support over on Patreon, and I really appreciate that. If you are thinking about buying pencils and you don't know what to get, for the love of God, don't get the full set and use it all up before, and then try to return them. This is why I think knowing that pencils are available open stock is so important, and making sure that you try pencils out open stock before you do that, because you don't want to end up with pencils and that you're not happy with, and you've bought a full set and you've used them and now you can't return them, or if you're tacky, you're going to try to return them anyway. So for example, I know that I'm a big fan of the Polychromos, but a lot of people have told me that they've tried the Polychromos in store, or they've gotten one or two pencils and they really weren't that impressed and they didn't really think it was worth the money. And that's really important for you to test and for you to try. So that's part of the reason why I love the fact that these are available open stock. Anyway, this is turning into a long-winded thing, but I did want to just thank the fans who've been supporting me through the Amazon wish list, through Patreon, through everything, and that you guys make a huge difference. And I think that's it. All right, to the video of Stewie. All right, bye. Why are you choosing right now to do this, buddy? Huh? Why are you making that choice for yourself? Huh? Who's your buddy? Who's your buddy? Who's your buddy, Stewie? Who's your buddy, Stewie? Oh, who's your buddy, Stewie? Oh, who's your buddy?